After the wind, the rain, and the powerful waves, this is what Hurricane Ian left in its path. Entire islands blown away, bridges ripped apart, homes left flooded, and belongings lost forever.
I have nothing. Bunch of dirty clothes and a lot of laundry.
But despite the destruction, people are working together to rebuild. This morning, we have teams across Southwest Florida to bring you stories of survival.
And I was just thinking about my kids and my grandkids and just everybody I know, and they just kept me going in my mind.
Stories of communities coming together.
It doesn't happen in your hometown. So if we can just give somebody that 5-10 minutes of stress relief, come in, like I said, get your hair shampooed, have a hot dog, a cheeseburger, a cold drink, just a pat on the back or a hug.
And updates from community leaders about the recovery process. Everything you need to know after the storm, coming up on Fox 4 Morning News. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for watching special Fox 4 coverage as our community recovers from Hurricane Ian. I'm Chris Shaw.
And I'm Lisa Greenberg. We are coming to you live this morning from the Iona neighborhood in Fort Myers to show you the destruction left behind by Hurricane Ian here in this section of Southwest Florida, and also to share the stories as people work to recover from Hurricane Ian in this area. But of course, we want to start things off today with what you need to know most, power numbers.
Yeah, let's get into those right away because they are changing every few hours. Backyard to backyard, clearing debris and getting new power poles up and lines connected. So here's what we're looking at right now at 10 this morning. Lee County still has about 44,000 FPL customers without power, but as you look through Charlotte, Collier, Sarasota, and DeSoto counties, those numbers are improving. FPL is hoping to have 95% of those customers back online by the end of the day Friday. Now, let's move to LCEC numbers. Marco Island, about 1,700 people. But look at these big gains. Places like Immokalee and Lehigh Acres have far fewer people without power right now than they did even yesterday. The big number, though, that sticks out is Cape Coral. Still a lot of people hurting there. About 81,000 people without power.
I know some friends of mine that live in the Cape Coral area were saying that they finally got their power back yesterday, but others in Cape Coral still being told it could be up to another week. So we know that linemen are busy working on that. We also want to let you know that there are food distributions getting set up all across Southwest Florida. Collier, Charlotte, Lee County, they all have plans to get food and water for you today.
All right, now some more good news, positive news, moving in the right direction has to do with the water in our area coming back online. Water pumping stations are at almost 100% in Cape Coral. Really positive news because so many people in the Cape are still without power. And the Department of Emergency Management says it is ahead of schedule on getting water systems back up and running in other places in Southwest Florida. That includes Fort Myers.
We also want to talk about the curfews that are still in place all across Southwest Florida right now. In Collier County, there's a curfew in place from midnight until 6 a.m. City of Naples curfew is from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. and that curfew is going to remain in place until power is fully restored throughout the city of Naples. In Charlotte County, we know the curfew is 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Lee County, it's now 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And in Sanibel, they are changing their curfew today. It was a 24/7 curfew in Sanibel, but now, as of today, it will go from that 24/7 curfew to a 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew.
All right, really important information you need to know. A lot of our area is still under a boil water order. So if you do have water, chances are you probably have to boil it before you use it. Charlotte and Lee counties, the main counties that are still under those boil water orders. So be careful. Even if you have water, chances are you need to boil it before you use it.
Definitely important. Now, we have crews all across Southwest Florida for you this morning. We have crews close to Sanibel. We have crews in Cape Coral, at RSW, trying to tell you the stories of recovery here in Southwest Florida from Hurricane Ian. But we want to talk a bit more about why we are in the Iona community live today. We spent some time this morning talking to people who live in this area, and the stories that they have about what they went through during the hours of Hurricane Ian are just awful to hear. They're really heartbreaking and really scary stories, and now they're kind of shifting their focus to recovery and trying to figure out what to do next.
You know, so much attention has been paid on places like Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach, Pine Island, Matlacha, with good reason. Those areas were decimated, but one of the things that we wanted to do today is get into these communities where people live year-round. like Iona, the Iona-McGregor area, because they suffered a lot too. A lot of wind damage, a lot of water damage. Just think of where Iona is. This is an area you probably pass when you're going to places like Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach. On one side, it's basically a peninsula. On one side, you've got the Caloosahatchee River. On the other side, you've got the Gulf of Mexico. I'm going to try to explain it with my hands real quick about where we are right now. Think about a map. So you have Sanibel on one side, and you can pretty much draw a straight line to Fort Myers Beach, right on the coast. Well, if you take those points and go up and make like a triangle, that's where we are right now. In Iona, a place that was definitely susceptible to water surge. And unfortunately, that's what happened here.
And, you know, right behind us here, this is a mobile home community. I don't know if you can see it. I can step out of the way a bit. And then where we are right now, there are some homes that also saw some damage. But I know when we were driving through this area, Chris, just seeing the mobile homes and all of the damage that they sustained from this storm, we were trying to find people in that area to talk to. But truthfully, we only saw one car in that neighborhood, one person walking around. It's very quiet. It's almost like a ghost town over there, because imagine all those homes are so destroyed. There's nothing for those people to come back to at this point.
Yeah, so that's Davis Road behind us. We're on Pine Needle Lane. This street has a couple of duplexes, some apartments. It's like the 2 up, 2 down apartment complexes. I spoke to a woman who actually lives on Sanibel but evacuated here for the hurricane, and she was on the bottom floor of one of those apartments when Ian came in. She says the water got up to the window in her apartment, so she swam out of the window and then swam upstairs to the balcony on the second floor, and that's where she rode the storm out. She told me that her biggest challenge right now is communication. She said she's starting to come back slowly, but she has not seen many of the images of what happened. She, for days, didn't really know what happened to Sanibel, and so just think about being literally in the dark, not knowing what was going on in your community, and then starting to see these pictures that we have all been living with for the last week. It was traumatic, she said.
I can't even imagine what she went through, but it's another similar story to the gentleman that I spoke to here that lives in Iona. He was telling me that the water rose 2 feet up to his window. So not just to the bottom of his window, but 2 feet up. He showed me video, and you're going to see this in just a little bit, where he and his family members were sitting inside of their living room, just on stools, trying to stay out of the water as best as possible. His truck floated a bit away. You know, these stories that we're hearing here of people and the things they had to do. He said he actually had to bust through one of the windows and hold on to a wall during the thick of the storm to stay alive. And he did say that at points he was questioning if he would make it.
There are a lot of stories like that. We're going to bring some of them to you. We're going to tell you what people here in Iona really need right now. So much more coverage coming on that right away. But as Lisa said, we have crews all over Southwest Florida, including a crew just over our shoulder at the Sanibel Causeway. That's where Fox 4's Elise Chingari is right now. Elise, it is a busy day where you are right now.
Good morning, Lisa and Chris. Yes, it is busy here. And you know, thinking about it, it was 1 week ago that Hurricane Ian made such an impact here on Southwest Florida. My photographer Kevin and I were right in the Sanibel area. We heard that storm, we saw it. The Weather Channel was there. They said we experienced more than 18 feet of storm surge. It's hard to describe what it was like to be there for that, but I'm invested, we're invested. We want to show you what we are seeing firsthand, and I can tell you that there are boots on the ground. I mean, it is in full force. We are seeing trucks from Georgia, Ohio, Texas. They are making their way over to right here to Fort Myers Beach to help out. And just to let you know, the community, the area here is still closed. You know, residents, business owners, pedestrians, they cannot make their way over to the Fort Myers Beach. They just can't. You know, first responders are here. They are still continuing with those rescue efforts. Obviously, I've kept in touch with the mayor, who says that they are still finding people alive underneath that rubble. So they have a lot of work. This is one of the first times that I'm seeing, you know, tree companies make their way, dozens of trucks make their way over to the bridge here. Now, to talk more about Sanibel, that's a bit of a difference than here, because we know people can't make their way to Fort Myers Beach. However, Sanibel Island, residents can make their way back there there today. I know many of you residents want to know what it looks like. What does your house look like? Can you pick up some belongings? You cannot make it over the Sanibel Causeway. That broke up in more than 5 pieces. We saw that. We've been bringing that to you to show you what that looks like. However, you can get there by boat. What you need to do is you need to get one of the re-entry passes. You can head over to the Crown Hotel. That is over in Bell Tower in Fort Myers, where you can get one of those passes from 8 to 5 today and throughout the rest of the week. You need to bring your ID if you are a resident there. If you are a renter, they are asking that you bring an electricity bill. However, if you are making your way over there today, if you find a boat, you need to be aware. You know, the city of Sanibel, they're posting it online. They want you to know that there's no electricity. It's dangerous. You know, there's a lot of debris. Crews are still there, you know, trying to rescue people and get through all of that debris. Again, no power, limited cell phone service. So that's what residents are going to be seeing when they try to get to that area. Of course, it's going to look completely different than what you're used to. You can go over to the city of Sanibel. They have a map where they are showing different areas. It may not look exactly how the map shows is what they're stating, but they want you to get an idea of just how different pieces of that island look. So they want you to look at that map to just be aware as they've been trying to assess that damage, and they still continue to do that. You know, when I say you could go by boat, I've talked to a few boat companies who say that they've been in touch with some families who want them to take them over to the island. So they are really trying to do that today. My photographer and I went over to the Punta Rasa boat ramp. That is closed. We couldn't even get near it. They say that's not accessible for people to make their way from there to Sanibel. That's only for rescue crews at this time. Now, I've also talked to people here whose boats did, you know, survive from, you know, Hurricane Ian. Their boats are over here at the edge where we are. And, you know, these are people who want to try to help out other people. They say that they will be going out throughout the day as well to try to help make residents, you know, get back there to Sanibel Island. If you are going to make your way back, you just have to be careful. No water, no electricity. Of course, the area is going to look, you know, completely different than it did before. Limited, you know, cell phone access. So you need to be careful when you head over there. Again, you need a re-entry pass. We've been pushing that since last week. Of course, last week we thought it would be different where, you know, there would be 2 lines forming on that bridge to allow people over. Now you can only get there by air or by boat, so you need to be careful. You know, we've also talked to a few people with their boats here. We've been trying to also get on that boat with other people to, you know, try to help them out and show you, our viewers, you know, what people are experiencing over there. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated on the, you know, rescues, you know, the recoveries that are currently happening. But right here, to get over to Fort Myers Beach, you know, I'm telling you, it's just, you know, it's almost like this empowering thing, you know, to see all of these people coming together here in Southwest Florida to really try to help, you know, rebuild this community and get over there and try to, you know, really help as much as they can over at Fort Myers Beach. Live in Fort Myers, Elise Chingari, Fox 4.
Good information there, Elise. Thank you very much for your reporting. She has an amazing story to tell about being, she mentioned at the top of her live hit, about being where she was trapped in a hotel as the hurricane came through. And what she mentioned about those hurricane passes is information that is not really getting out to people around here. I noticed in speaking to people who were here, who rode out the storm here in Iona, who live in Sanibel, they weren't aware that there were ways to get back to see what the damage was. I spoke to a woman who said she was thinking she was just going to have to hire somebody to take her out on a boat, and I told her you didn't have to do that. I gave her the information so she knows that there's an easier and cheaper, free way to get to the island to see what's going on there. But just in this entire area, you know, it's maybe not ground zero, but it's right next to ground zero. In a lot of ways, there's still an information blackout here.
Yeah, it's important to make sure that these people get the information they need, which of course, as you mentioned, it's been so difficult when there hasn't been good cell communication. There hasn't been good Wi-Fi for people to use. So it's important that I'm glad we're here to be able to pass that information along. We do want to show you some video of some boat rescues happening on Sanibel. We're told that these boats are getting ready to go to the Sanibel area and help people there on the island. So that is important to see that this is happening in that area, especially because we've been showing so much video of the causeway and what's going to happen there when it comes to repairing it so people can get back onto the island. And I know that this is a big issue when it comes to restoring power on Sanibel Island, is actually getting access to it. So we heard from LCEC about that. We want to show you what they had to say.
So we're looking at different options, including barges. But as you can imagine, to take utility trucks on a barge is quite a feat. and there needs to be infrastructure on the island, a bulkhead, to even let the barge land, because you're talking about tons and tons of equipment and vehicles to get there.
It is encouraging to see those boats, all those boats in the water right now helping people. You know, it was just a few days ago, the day or so after the storm, that we got a look at the causeway for the first time, and things almost seemed helpless.
Right.
Like there was no way to get to those people on the island. And now, a couple of days after that, we saw the helicopters going in and the government boats, and now we're seeing more boats helping people on Sanibel. We talk about taking small steps every day to get things back to normal, and that's one of those small steps we're seeing today. All right, so about 1.5 miles from where we are right now in Davis Road is an area right off of John Morris Road. It's a mobile home community, and I had a chance a little while ago this morning to speak to a woman who last Wednesday, as the storm was blowing in, she was sitting on her front porch. She was kind of watching the storm come in. It was her intention to just ride the storm out at her home, but she started to see the storm surge coming into her community. The water was coming quickly up the road, and that's when she decided to do this. Take a listen.
Grabbed both of the dogs and my son and my husband, and we got in the truck and we tried to get out, on John Morris, but the water was just rushing in, and so then we backed up all the way to Iona and went over here on Candle Drive and found a driveway, and we parked there for a little while, but the water just kept coming up and up and up and up. And I said, oh my God, the water's gonna get in the truck. And so then we backed out again on Iona, and we found the highest driveway on Iona that we could find. And we pulled in there, no one was at home. So we pulled in there and we just had to sit there because we couldn't get out.
You rode out the storm in the truck.
Yes, that truck right there. 3 adults and 2 dogs. I mean, we just sit there all night long.
What was that like?
Oh my God. There was nothing else we could do. We couldn't move. I mean, I just thought, I thought maybe we were gonna get washed away. But we didn't, thank God.
That hours like that, right?
Hours. And then we had to wait till the water, went out till we could come home and see what we were gonna deal with.
Do you mind walking just a little bit down the street with me? You came home, and what does your neighborhood look like right now?
Looks like a bomb went off. Looks like hell. Yeah, it was so scary. I was like, there's so many people that lost. I mean, more than I lost, but I keep going back, Thank God we're alive. There's so many people, that lost their life. And then we just assessed, what we were gonna deal with. My son, he's lost everything. I lost the roof, but I mean, we still have a place to sleep, and I'm running water from my house to the neighbors, and she's washing people's clothes, and
Everybody's helping everybody out.
everybody's helping everybody. I mean, this neighbor's got a car that's working, so he's making sure that we get to the store to get the food and water, necessities to live on right now. I mean, everybody's just pitching in. That's the way this area is. I mean, it's like a lot of people think, oh, it's a mobile home park, But everyone's pitching in and helping each other.
What gives you hope right now?
The fact that we are helping each other. So many people don't have that. Think about the people that are by themselves. They don't have anybody.
I think it's remarkable that after everything that you went through and what you lost, you can look at other people and feel their pain.
You have to help. I mean, my God. If you don't, where you at? And it's like, yeah, we got to replace everything. We'll get it done. Eventually.
So that woman's name is Sandra Wood, and that truck that she and her family rode the storm out in is not running anymore. And the problem with that is that's the truck that they need for their business, the family does. So they have no way to make money right now. If you can help fix the truck, if you have a truck that they can use, reach out to me. You can find me on my Facebook page. That's Chris Shaw Fox 4. I can get that information to Sandra and help her and her family get on their feet again. And as you saw, it's not just Sandra and her family that you'd be helping out. It's that entire community, because they are working for each other right now. Everything that they have, they are piling together and seeing what works, what is going to be of help, and they're sharing it with each other. So if we can get some help to that community, we'd really love to do that. Again, my Facebook page is Chris Shaw Fox 4.
So many people in this community are in need of help. We've heard so many stories just walking around here this morning from people. The gentleman I spoke to, you could tell he was a bit more in shock. He wasn't quite as emotional because I think he was still trying to process what he was going through. He said he couldn't believe and never expected, he's ridden out hurricanes here before, never would have thought what happened to him would happen. We're actually standing in his front yard right now. We're going to hear more from him in just a minute. And he's actually telling me that he's contemplating leaving the state of Florida now because he feels like there's really nothing left for him here. We're going to have that story coming up after the break here on Fox 4 Morning News. So keep it here. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, 10:23 is the time right now. We're coming live to you from the Iona neighborhood in Fort Myers. It's right near where you would get onto the Sanibel Causeway to go to Sanibel or head towards Fort Myers Beach. And we are telling the stories of devastation, destruction, heartbreak, but also the stories of neighbors coming together to help each other in recovering from Hurricane Ian. And we'll get to more about that in just a second. But we do want to let you know that in just about 7 minutes from now, we are going to be hearing from the Fort Myers Police Department. They're going to be giving an update on where things stand when it comes to FMPD and what people living within the city of Fort Myers need to know.
Yeah, we are on top of all of these news conferences. As new information comes out through the course of the day, we will take you there live for all of them, so you know as soon as we do when there is new information out there about the recovery process. We can also tell you in about 2.5 hours or so, President Joe Biden and the First Lady Jill Biden will be here. They'll be landing in Southwest Florida. We expect the president to talk about some of the issues that the federal government is helping, the ways that the federal government is helping out. The big one is the FEMA assistance, the money that you can apply for right now to help you get through the next few days and weeks. So cleaning up all the debris in your yard, making sure you have some income coming in case you can't work. That assistance is out there right now, but also the Army Corps of Engineers is a big part of helping the water come back on in places like Cape Coral. Also, the Coast Guard has been a part of search and rescue operations in Southwest Florida. So the president will highlight a lot of those federal initiatives that are helping people here right now.
First, though, before we get to more on that, we want to go to RSW, where our reporter Colton Chavez is live this morning, and he's hearing from families who have not heard from their loved ones yet at this point, and they're showing up to the airport hoping that their loved ones will be flying back in. So let's talk about that with Colton. Colton, what can you tell us?
Well, good morning, Chris, Lisa. Yeah, here at RSW, it's been a changing scene since we were here about 3 hours ago. A ton of families really getting the first chance to not only get on flights going home, but also flights coming in for the first time. And as you've talked about, Chris and Lisa, all morning long, this is the first chance that these families who evacuated are getting a chance to see their home for the first time. And I want to detail a few things for you if you are coming to the airport, and that is if you are flying into the airport, if you're coming into the airport, your plane may be departing from a different area because there are only limited flights at this time. But the first flight that just got to RSW got here no more than 2 hours ago, and I spoke with one family who said they were up in Detroit. They were hearing the news of what was happening down here, and they knew immediately they needed to get on a plane and come and help their neighbors. Listen to this.
Just came and said, and actually escorted us back to our condo and said, "You got to get off."
And they waited.
And they waited right
while
there
we packed our bags.
Bye. And I apologize, that was actually the wrong soundbite that we're using for this one. We're going to show you that other family coming up in just a little bit. The family you had just heard from was actually leaving RSW because their home on Fort Myers Beach was evacuated. Police told them that they had to get out of here at this time. But also, before I wrap things up here, I wanted to go ahead and let people know that if you are coming to the airport, both short-term and long-term parking is available. You want to give yourself a little bit of extra time if you are getting to the airport, even more than what you normally would. But continue to stay with us. I'm going to give you the latest right here from RSW. But for now, live at RSW, Colton Chavez, Fox 4.
All right, Colton, thank you so much. 10:27 is the time. Again, we are waiting any minute for the Fort Myers Police Department to give us an update. But for now, we want to let you know that Lee County Schools is giving an update about where things stand when it comes to reopening. It says that 42 of its buildings are considered to have low impact damage. They say that those schools will be good once they get water and power running to them. Some minor cleaning, of course, will need to happen for those schools to reopen. It says 29 schools have medium impact damage. So things like broken windows, there could be water that leaked into the building, things like that. So they're going to need a little bit more cleanup. And then it also says that there are 14 schools within the Lee County School District that have what it's calling high level damage, major damage, some in fact that would be beyond repair, they're saying. So they're still assessing those schools, and that's why it's going to be a bit more time before schools are able to reopen, because those schools that are beyond repair as of this morning, they're going to have to find new places for those students, staff members, teachers to go to continue the school year. I do know that yesterday when we were on air and we showed a news conference from the superintendent, he was saying this isn't going to be a situation where we're waiting until January to pick things back up. They are working as quickly as possible to get all of the schools reopened. But again, knowing that there are so many, 14 with high level damage right now, it is going to take a bit of time to reassess and figure out what the next steps are.
Yeah, it sounds like the big key is going to be finding temporary buildings, whether that's bringing in trailers or other large portable buildings, or just finding other buildings in the area of the school. That's going to be the tricky thing, in addition to cleaning the schools that have damage, but finding those temporary buildings where kids can go to school. The other thing to think about is the children in our community and the teachers in our community. They live here as well. Many of them took a lot of damage as well. So they are busy cleaning right now, and maybe to the point where they can't even really go back to work yet because they are dealing with their own homes and their own neighborhoods. We will continue tracking that. We will let you know as soon as Lee County gives out more information on the status of the schools and when they're going to go back. We can tell you, though, that tomorrow Collier County schools will go back to school for the first time since the storm.
We know Charlotte County is postponing school until further notice, so that's something that we'll let you know as soon as we have more information on that. We do want to let you know, for all those teachers, staff members that you just mentioned who have damage they're working to recover from, anyone who's watching right now who is in need of disaster assistance, there is a disaster recovery center open right now. We actually drove past it on our way out here to Iona and saw all of the RVs and all of the trucks set up, ready to help people who are in need of help with hurricane survivor resources, information about recovery programs, disaster assistance. It's open from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. every single day. So you can go to the Lakes Regional Library. It's on Bass Road in Fort Myers. Let me give you that address, 15290 Bass Road, Fort Myers. Again, this is where you can go to get any recovery information and resources you need to bounce back from Hurricane Ian.
I want to mention one note about going out and getting help, be it that kind of recovery assistance, going out and getting meals, other supplies that are being given away right now. As we mentioned, you know, you'd have to consider Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach, Pine Island, St. James City, Bokeelia as ground zero. But where we are in Iona is real close. These people took a lot of damage. Again, to the north, they've got the Caloosahatchee River, and to the south, they've got the Gulf of Mexico. So they had water coming at them on both sides. And there was a lot of flooding here, and that means there are a lot of vehicles that no longer run. So in talking with people out here today, I've gotten the sense that if they know that there is help out there, they can't get to it. What they really need is for the help to come into these neighborhoods, in these communities, and just bring that help here. So it would be great if we could get some kind of organization to bring the help here, because these people just don't have a way of getting out of their own neighborhoods at this point.
Well, even one gentleman that I was speaking to was telling me, okay, so I'm basically stuck here at my home because right now I don't have a truck that's running, and I can try to, we obviously see a truck pulling in behind us. This one is running here, so he's having to rely on his neighbors, but he was like, I'm going to go. I tried to go to a shelter. I couldn't find a way to get there. Maybe that's what's happening here behind us, is someone bringing in some help for that person. But it's something that we're hearing a lot about, is these cars that are just completely flooded out. I know my car was destroyed, and having to go through the claims process takes time.
Yeah.
I still haven't been given a rental car. So you have to imagine that anyone who's in that same situation is dealing with those same frustrations right now.
All right, so we are just minutes away from a Fort Myers Police news conference where we're expecting more information. We will bring that to you live as soon as it happens. But now I want to throw some more information up on the screen, because volunteers are needed now. This is kind of what we were just talking about, and that kind of work is going on right now in Charlotte County. There's a volunteer reception center now open for people who would like to offer their help and their skills with the disaster response. To register, here's what you do. Go to the VRC. It'll be open every day from 7 until 11, so you don't have a lot of time to get there today. But if you can, maybe go first thing tomorrow morning. If you're registered and say that you're interested in volunteering, they will contact you. Once you do that registration once, you don't have to do it again.
All right, as we wait to hear from Fort Myers Police, we want to talk about what's happening on Pine Island right now. We know that FDOT crews are working as quickly as they can to restore access to Pine Island. One of the bridges to get to there was completely destroyed, and seeing the video of that is just awful. The chunks of the roadway, it's amazing the power of this storm. And so we want to show you what's being done to fix that area. But first, we want to show you a live picture right now of, I believe, what did you say? Air Force One carrying the president to our area right now.
Yes, so we are out in the field right now, obviously live in Iona, so we are working to get you some more information. But I believe this is Air Force One leaving D.C. and on its way now to Southwest Florida. The President and the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, are on that plane right now, and they are headed here. We have crews at the airport waiting for the President's arrival, and we will bring you live coverage of his speech when he speaks a little later this afternoon.
All right, let's get back to Pine Island now. Okay. We have a reporter who's actually there tracking the progress of that bridge that is being restored there. They're hoping to have that done by this weekend, that temporary road that's going to lead you to Pine Island after access to that area was destroyed by Hurricane Ian. We also know that the Coast Guard is helping with relief efforts to still, a week later, get people off of Pine Island right now. We have our reporter, Fox 4's Alexandra Rangel. She got an exclusive ride-along with the U.S. Coast Guard, and she shows us how people on Pine Island are now dealing with the aftermath of this storm.
Chief, here we go.
Gulf Coast Kayak in Matlacha was the starting point from where we met the U.S. Coast Guard. As we toured their daily route to Pine Island, a 1.5-mile boat ride, we could see what once was a vibrant beach town.
It's sad. It's obviously devastating to this area.
Some homes still standing and others are completely shattered. After touching ground at the Yucatan waterfront, in the location that has served as a meeting point for evacuees, we came across Lucas Gordon, spray painting a message in front of his home.
My mom was pushing the mud out, and she had a looter walk up on her. Mama, you wanna come over here?
We quickly learned that those staying on the island were taking it into their own hands to protect their homes.
So I don't know what we're gonna do, but we ain't going nowhere.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
And with the temporary road to Pine Island seeing major progress, Bobby Gordon sees a glimmer of hope.
But I have my faith in Governor DeSantis and what he's bringing to us.
And that hope is spreading across the island.
I see the road being built in here right now, which is obviously giving me goosebumps now that, we have a road being built, and I'm pretty certain that pretty soon we'll have access to the island.
We then made our way to the Matlacha Fire Department.
Base of operations will occur here,
where FEMA was on the grounds helping folks devastated by the hurricane.
Transportation is an issue, communication is an issue, and we face those in any disaster, but we're trying to adapt and overcome so that we can help the people that are in need here.
And as energy and fuel resources are running low,
we're going to miss being away, but
we're just leaving because of health problems. Right. We can't be far away from a hospital for her with seizures and things like that, or else we'd stay.
But Rachel and Sue Ferguson say it's not the end.
This is our home, so it's hard to leave it. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back.
And as some leave the island, Joshua Welsh with the U.S. Coast Guard says,
It's been, it comes in waves. We've been seeing a lot of people ready to get off the island, but a lot of people also wanting to get back to their homes.
In his 16 years of responding to disaster, he says Hurricane Ian
Different. Every disaster is different to some extent. There's always the challenges, but it's also ways that we can use our training in order to overcome those challenges.
In Matlacha, Alexandra Rangel, Fox 4.
All right, Alexandra, thank you so much for that report. Really interesting to get an inside look at the work that's being done in Southwest Florida. We've mentioned all the helicopters that are in the air doing the search and rescues, going to places that are cut off from the roads. Here in Iona, we heard one go by just a few minutes ago. So that search and rescue work continues 1 week later.
I just got some more information as well about the president's visit, what exactly is going to unfold with that. So I want to get to that really quickly. So we know that the president is going to come to RSW. He'll take a flight over the area to see all of the damage here in Southwest Florida. He will then land in Fisherman's Village in Punta Gorda to talk to people, business owners, homeowners in the area about all of the damage that we're seeing in that area. We also know that he was in Puerto Rico earlier this week to look at the damage from Hurricane Fiona and all of the people that dealt with devastation there. So many natural disasters this last week or so. So that is the plan when it comes to the president. Of course, Fox 4 will be covering this every step of the way for you.
Yeah, we have a lot more live crews to get to the rest of the morning and early afternoon. We also have news conferences to get to. But at 10:38, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Good morning, everybody. It is 10:40 on this Wednesday morning. You are watching live special coverage from Fox 4 of the recovery to Hurricane Ian. So much of our coverage the last week or so has been from the air. We're showing communities like Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel that lost so much. The devastation is widespread. But now, as roads start to clear up a little bit and we're able to go out into neighborhoods and communities, we wanted to take some time to do that. We wanted to come to where people are who are struggling right now. And one of the areas that is struggling a lot is Iona. If you're not familiar with Iona, it's an area that you probably drive through if you live in Lee County and you go to Sanibel or to Fort Myers Beach. It's McGregor. You drive right past it. It's an area that's kind of tucked between the Caloosahatchee River and the Gulf of Mexico. Unfortunately, for the people who live here, that meant during the storm surge of Hurricane Ian, they took the brunt of a whole lot of water. We've spoken with people here, and that's one of the things that we wanted to do when we came here is talk to people. We've essentially gone door to door looking for people who are still around, and they tell us that in some cases the water was as high as maybe 5 feet, 6 feet. It was definitely high enough to get into the first floor windows, and
all while being members of the community themselves and enduring suffering. But the community is coming together, and you see the wheels of progress turning. And what I'd really like to hit on, as been through hurricanes and the command level of a police department, we've done that before, but we've never seen anything to the level that we've seen after Hurricane Ian. But the men behind me, represented by the Miami-Dade County Police Chiefs Association, they have. And before I could even scramble to know who to call, Chief Ed Hudak called me, representing all of the agencies, the municipal police agencies of Dade County. And there's a unique fraternity of police chiefs and police departments that represent municipalities. And this group, like I said, have been through it before. They know the challenges ahead. And without asking, without question, they began sending resources that were so desperately needed and are desperately needed. Those men and women that work for the police departments represented by the Miami-Dade County Police Chiefs Association have been embedded with our officers and with Chief Pepitone's officers day and night, never questioning assignments, chipping in, helping, and we are beginning the process of giving our officers some time off to assess their homes and their families and get much needed rest so that they can come to work and still continue to do the dangerous work of police work safely and effectively. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. As the mayor of Fort Myers, I couldn't be any more prouder of our police department and the response effort that has gone underway for the last 7 days. Just 7 days ago, this city was hit by a horrible, devastating storm. Yet we are strong, we are resilient, and we are bouncing back. And a lot of that has to do with our first responders. So I say thank you to all the agencies that have come to Fort Myers to help the local agencies. You know, for the last 2 years, there's been a false narrative painted about our police officers. And I think what we've seen in the last 7 days is just the opposite. What we have seen is a level of commitment and service to our community that is immeasurable. We owe our officers a great deal of gratitude for all the hard work they've put in this past week and the hard work they will continue to put in the upcoming weeks as well. We are very fortunate to have such dedicated staff here. And I say thank you to each and every one of them, and thank you to those who traveled from other parts of the state to come and assist. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ed Hudak. I'm the chief of Coral Gables Police Department in Miami-Dade County. I'm here today to represent the Miami-Dade County Chiefs Association and as the District 4 Florida Police Chiefs Association representative to our district in Miami-Dade County. Hurricanes, like crime, know no boundaries. We know that oh too well in Miami-Dade County. The 37 different police departments have banded together to be here for one reason and one reason only: to restore the feeling of safety, but also to get everyone, including the officers that protect you here in this county every day and in these two cities. My fellow chiefs are committed to stay here as long as it takes to make sure that your officers are back in a better place with their families, able to protect you all and the services that you have come to expect. We have been through this many, many times in Miami-Dade County. This is not new for us, this cooperation amongst our departments, and we are just honored and pleased to be here with our troops for as long as it takes. We know what you all are going to experience in the next couple of weeks, and we know the long-term goals that have to be achieved to return this community to its safety and to its sense of safety, if you will. And our officers, our men and women, our communications operator, and our assets and resources are going to stay in these two communities for as long as it needs to happen. So on behalf of Chief Delma Noel Pratt, the Florida Police Chiefs Association, we are here for Fort Myers. We are here for Cape Coral, for your residents, but more importantly for your officers, to get them rehabilitated, back on their feet, get their families taken care of in any possible way we can. So we appreciate people coming out, but we also appreciate the men and women that have volunteered. Everybody here from Miami-Dade County that's spending weeks at a time has volunteered to be here. No one was ordered to come over. And again, having experienced events like this in Miami-Dade County, it's refreshing as a chief to understand that the men and women of Miami-Dade County's law enforcement community don't have to be told what to do. They know, and they couldn't get here soon enough. So we appreciate and God bless everyone in the Lee County area, but especially the city of Fort Myers and Cape Coral. We are here for you. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lieutenant Roger Valdivia. It is my honor to be standing before you this afternoon, or this morning, as we're fortunate to serve an agency and community that appreciates its law enforcement in both its brightest and darkest of days. The purpose of this morning's meeting is to let our community know and give a brief update on what we have done since the impact of the storm. Specifically, the allocation of personnel from our law enforcement partners from the East Coast. The group we have embedded with us is comprised of a contingent from Miami, the Miami area, and have been a great asset to our agency or agencies. They have assisted with traffic direction, road patrols, actually riding with our officers, police dispatching, and 911 calls. They've helped us with accepting donations. They've helped us with handing out supplies and meals to individuals in the heavily impacted areas and with those with limited supplies. Most importantly, they bring a wealth of knowledge and logistical assistance for additional resources. To our Miami area brothers and sisters, to say thank you is frankly not enough. You have selfishly left your families behind to join our efforts in keeping our community safe during this tragic time. You will never know how much we've appreciated your acts of kindness, consideration, and empathy this past week. We appreciate your unfailing attention to detail, patience as we progress throughout the week. On behalf of the entire Fort Myers Police Department, City of Cape Coral Police Department, and the citizens of this community, I express heartfelt thanks for all you have done and wish you safe travels when you return to your families.
I'd like to echo what Lieutenant Valdivia just said. This contingent from the East Coast has been just awesome. They've integrated in with our personnel seamlessly, and I believe it's helped the morale of our personnel also. And I'm looking forward to working with this group for the time, for an amount of time that we can keep them here. And thank you for coming this morning. Okay. Do you have any questions for the group? The biggest challenge has been people not following different basic rules, like the curfew from 9 till 6. When you're approaching an intersection where the traffic control's down, not treating it like a four-way stop. So we've had to, and then the disruptions at gas stations while they're waiting in line there. Now, with the power coming on in most of the city, there's not the need for gasoline for generators, so that's alleviated the gas station problem. But we still have quite a few major intersections that don't have traffic signals that are working.
So. Chief, is it the signals aren't working? Have any of them been intentionally pulled down in order to allow direction of traffic by officers at the scene?
No, that's not correct. Some of them may have been powered up, but the problem is that they're turned at the wrong angle, so you can't really tell which direction has the stopper go.
Are there any that need replacing?
There's several through the city.
A large number, or?
I don't know right now. Yeah.
How long do you expect to keep assisting departments here in our area?
In talking to the chief today, we can keep them as long as we need them. So.
Any idea like how many weeks?
Looking out, I would say a couple weeks, but that's not set in stone.
Can you elaborate just a little bit more on why it's important for residents to follow that curfew?
Because our officers they're out there patrolling, trying to protect homes that have been evacuated from looting. So they need to concentrate on that instead of having to deal with unnecessary traffic and traffic crashes and disturbances at different locations. So if everybody would just stay home, we wouldn't have to do it. We all set? Well, thank you for coming this morning.
Bill, how you doing?
We want to talk a bit about now what the FMPD was saying during that news conference, give you a bit of a recap. But basically, they were saying that 37 different police departments are here in Southwest Florida helping FMPD and other law enforcement agencies keep the people of Southwest Florida safe and, most importantly, make them feel safe. We know that there are people who are concerned about looting. We are seeing people who are concerned about conditions on the roadways when it comes to the traffic lights being out, people who are running into disruptions and kind of altercations at gas stations waiting to get gas. Now, those folks at Fort Myers Police were just saying that these 37 different agencies are helping in keeping the order and keeping people feel safe.
Yeah, and not just that, but they're also giving the FMPD officers and staff a little time off too. Give them a day off so they can attend to the things at home, because just like everybody else, we were talking about the teachers, they are a part of our community. They live here with us. They are experiencing this same kind of damage. So that extra help allows them to take care of some things at home too before they then go back out onto the streets. We also heard from Mayor Kevin Anderson, who said, talking about the city as a whole, we are strong, resilient, and we will be back.
Now, I don't know if you heard, Chris, our Bree Brownlee, one of our reporters, asked FMPD what their biggest challenges that they are seeing right now. And they responded by saying that people are not following the 9 to 6 curfew. They're not treating the major intersections that don't have power right now as four-way stops. As we've seen, it's leading to accidents and other issues, and that there are altercations at gas stations from people waiting in those long lines for gas. So they're asking people to please be patient. When they're responding to these situations, he says that they can't focus on the priority right now, which is keeping people's homes, property safe from looting, and of course, keeping people safe as well.
All right, you may have seen a car pull back behind us just a couple of minutes ago. That was a man that Lisa spoke with earlier this morning. He is leaving his home here in Iona, and we'll tell you why in just a couple of minutes. 10:55 is the time right now. You are watching special live coverage from Fox 4 of the recovery to Hurricane Ian. Good morning, everybody. It is just about 11 on this Wednesday morning. Thank you so much for watching special Fox 4 coverage of the recovery to Hurricane Ian. We are live right now, and we have been for the last hour. We will be here for a couple of more hours in Iona. This is a community that was hit extremely hard by the hurricane. It was the high winds. Yes, that was part of the problem, but the water was a big issue here as well, like a lot of places in Southwest Florida. But we wanted to come here today to do this special coverage because we wanted to talk to people where they live. We wanted to see what their struggles are right now. We wanted to hear their stories. We also wanted to hear what they need, and that's a wide range of things.
Right.
We've heard from people who just need a way out of this community because their cars were underwater and they can't drive anywhere. We talked to people who just need communication. They're having a hard time reaching the outside world, and we spoke to people who just want to leave.
Right, and speaking of people who want to leave, if you were just watching a few seconds ago, you saw a car pull out behind us. That was a man that I was speaking to earlier this morning who was telling me about what he went through when he rode out the hurricane on this property that we are standing on right now. It is destroyed, and you're about to see why in just a second. But basically, he's saying there's nothing left for me here right now. I have no power, I have no water, my home is destroyed. Take a listen to what he went through during Ian. Did you ever think anything like this could ever happen?
No, I thought it was going to be like the hurricanes. The other hurricanes, like nothing happened. It was just wind, but the water is make it more damage in this place.
Things start to pick up here, and that water starts to rise. What are you thinking?
It's going to get bad. It's going to get worse because it's rising too fast. Because when my cousin called me, hey, like water started coming into the house, I went and checked it. There was nothing. That I went put my shoes and my clothes, and I come back outside. They already got 2 foot up on the window. So like, it's getting bad. We walk out of the window. Like we bust the window. We bust the window. We left the house for a little bit. We hold the wall for like 2 hours and a half.
So you were just holding the wall outside of the house?
Yeah,
what were you thinking when you saw all of this?
Well, when I see the water coming in, I was like, what is supposed to do? Like, should I get out of here? Or, I mean, it's not a place to go.
What did the inside of your home look like?
Everything was floating. All the couches was tore apart.
Was there ever a point where you were worried about your life?
Yeah, it was a point. Like, I started praying, like, okay, it was going to be, please stop this thing, but no.
Obviously, your home has damage, your items are destroyed, but
yeah.
Do you feel at least a sense of thankfulness that you made it?
Yeah, like right now I see a lot of people, like even like real people that are helping each other. I see people passing by from Miami and they're dropping like propane, water, food.
All right, and what you are looking at now is the water line from how high up the water got on this home, halfway up the window of this home here in Iona. So this home you just saw in that video saw so much rushing water. I know when I showed you that video, you just couldn't believe it either. Seeing the people inside that home sitting on bar stools, doing whatever they could to stay dry, obviously not successfully, because he said at one point he had to break through one of the windows of this home, hold on to the wall, and he said he was standing there during the storm as the water was rushing in for about 2.5 hours. To give you an idea of also how high up this water got, there is a dead fish right in front of us right here. I don't know if you just noticed that. It's a little dead fish. I'm not sure if Travis is going to be able to get that on camera, but there's a dead fish sitting here in the parking lot of this duplex. So that just goes to show how much of the water, the storm surge, came into this area. There is still a bit of standing water in the ditches throughout this neighborhood as well. Now that gentleman you just saw, I should say, him pulling away from his home here, he told me he doesn't really know if there's anything left for him. His home, his belongings are destroyed. He had a job as a sous chef at a restaurant on Sanibel that's now destroyed. So he's wondering, what do I even do next? So he is taking a flight right now to Dallas, Texas, to be with his brother to figure out his next moves. And I think that's a position that a lot of people here in Southwest Florida are finding themselves in. Do I stay and try to rebuild?
Sure.
Do I move somewhere else and start over? It's a question a lot of people have right now.
And you can understand why he decided to take that step. I want to add one more thing to the window we saw earlier. That's between 5 and 6 feet high. So if you can just imagine, probably right about here, that's how high the water was for a time right after the storm with the storm surge. I spoke to a woman just down the street who was in a first floor apartment. She climbed out of her window when the water was that high because she was going to be underwater. It was getting inside the apartment. She actually swam and was able to reach up and grab onto a second floor balcony, and that's where she rode out the rest of the storm. Now, because the water got that high and it got into this house and all the other houses in this area, we're seeing a lot of this. We spoke with a couple of young men earlier today who were going through what's left of their house, and they were clearing it out. They were grabbing everything that was inside and bringing it here to the curb. So you see appliances, a stove, a refrigerator, you see mattresses, a lot of mattresses around, unfortunately. There's furniture there as well. People are just having to go into their homes right now and get whatever is left, see if any of it can be salvaged, and if not, it all goes to the curb. And that's people's lives right there. That is everything that they had in their home now gone, and it is just really sad to think about how quickly their entire lives changed. We spoke to the young men over there who they're not quite sure where they're going to live now. That's the big question.
I know that the gentleman I spoke to was even telling me, obviously going into his home is just a constant reminder of what he's going through. Seeing this on the curb here is a constant reminder of everything that he's had to go through. And he said he actually tried to get to his shelter, but he, of course, had no way to get there. His car was flooded out. This is his truck here in the driveway, and it got pushed over to the side. He said it was floating, essentially, just like the refrigerator inside of his house, things like that. He said that he did finally get a ride to one of the shelters, but it was so packed, he said he couldn't find space, and he decided he'd rather be inside his own home without power, without a bed to sleep on, than inside the shelter, because it was so crowded with people who are in the exact same situation as him.
Very sad situation. Let's bring in Fox 4's John Barron. He is live right now in Matlacha. And John, I know there's a lot of work going on in Matlacha right now. What is happening where you are?
Well, guys, a moment ago we had a bunch of boats up and down this river, almost like a caravan, making their way up and down, as you can kind of see. This is the only way to get into Matlacha at this point in time, because that temporary bridge has not been built quite yet. Now, we have heard word, now this is per the Sheriff's Department, and they're talking through FDOT, that there is going to be a possibility, I'm saying that completely, a possibility that there will be a temporary bridge that might be done and finished today. But there is a catch. With that bridge being possibly built, that means there's only going to be a possibility for them to allow emergency evacuations and emergency crews only at this point in time. So what you're seeing is honestly just community coming together. Take a look over here, Brian, if you could just show them. Right here, you got tons of hay bales sitting in this right here, because guess what? Believe it or not, there are cows and horses still out there as well. They need to be fed. So that's what this community has done. We've actually been speaking with a bunch of community members here at Matlacha, and they're all just getting onto their boats. They're using their their own fuel. They're bringing supplies out there to their own residents that really need help at this point in time. This is the point of Southwest Florida. It's a community coming together. That's what Matlacha is doing. At this point in time, they have no water, no electricity, and no way to get out there except for boat, but they're all coming together. And this is the most beautiful thing to see, because at this point in time, these are all just personally owned boats and residents taking people out there, people that need to get out there to family, excuse me, I was choked right there. And they're just trying to get an opportunity to see what and assess the damage that they have at this point in time. And like I continue to say, that we're just seeing a caravan of people making their way out here and just using their own personal boats, trying to take residents out there and supplies, much needed supplies, might I add. And once again, I'll go ahead and say, this is only going to be an opportunity for a makeshift possibility of a temporary bridge for emergency evacuations and emergency crews at this point in time. There is a possibility it will be built today, but there's no guarantee. That is all per the Sheriff's Department. They're speaking through FDOT. And we're going to send it back to you guys in the studio for now. Here live at Matlacha, John Barron, Fox 4.
All right, John, thank you for the update there. You know, one of the things we've heard people concerned about here in Iona is having enough gas to get out. Maybe people who didn't fill up before the storm, if their car wasn't completely lost because of the water, they're having a hard time getting the fuel that they need to get out. And fuel is a concern for a lot of people right now. We know that there are some giveaways going on, including one at the Stars Complex in Fort Myers. Here's the thing, though. There's some misinformation out there, or maybe just some assumptions that people have when they show up. That gas at the Stars Complex is not free. They're not giving it away for free. You do have to pay for it. And you should know this, if you go to buy it there, that they're not taking cash, only debit or credit cards at this point. The other thing I will point out is more gas stations are opening across Southwest Florida right now. I got gas early this morning, did not have a problem with a line. So I think we're getting to the point where if you need gas, you should be able to find it without too much of a wait.
And all across Southwest Florida, we're actually seeing the National Guard helping out at gas stations, trying to keep those lines in order and help people, answering any questions they might have about the gas situation in our area. It's really one of the biggest needs that we're seeing in Southwest Florida right now is gas. Reporter Tassie Olmos found one company, though, that's bringing the gas pump right to people's homes for free.
In Cape Coral, several streets are calm and quiet, except for the gentle rumble of generators.
The only way we can keep our freezer and refrigerators going is with a generator. We're just patiently waiting for power.
But to keep them going, residents need one thing.
Filling up gas for my generators. This is the 4th gas station I've been trying to find that actually has gas.
The gas is the biggest problem right now with people, and ice.
That's why Easy Fill is driving in with gas from Miami, filling people up for free.
When a hurricane comes, and the aftermath is that gas is typically one of the things, gas or fuel are one of the shortages that people have. So we're trying to bridge that gap between what's short here for the residents in these areas and what we have on our site.
It's basically Uber, but for gas. Using a smartphone app, customers can order gas to be delivered to them. But when I found them filling up tanks on the streets in Cape Coral, they looked more like first responders.
Did you ever think that you would be disaster relief?
Never in the beginning, really not, until the Hurricane Irma hit Florida, but I'm based out of Miami, and we were much smaller back then. We took the opportunity to play a smaller part in the emergency response or relief.
Some elderly residents don't have cans to even get gas for their generators, and those whose homes are okay have been driving around trying to help friends and family.
I just happened to be going home. I was like, wow, you guys are great.
Reporting in Cape Coral, Stassi Olmos, ABC Action News.
Well, again, hopefully that situation is getting a little bit better. It was interesting how my week went, starting on Saturday morning when I was coming into work early. There were already people lined up a long ways waiting for gas stations to open. I saw that again on Sunday and on Monday. And then yesterday, things quieted down a little bit, no lines. And today, like I said, I was able to get in and out with no problems, no line at all. So hopefully more gas stations are coming on board, coming online, having power, and that shouldn't be as much of an issue anymore.
Right, and that's for the people who even have cars to use. I'm in a situation where, like so many people here in Southwest Florida, the people here in this Iona neighborhood that I've spoken to, their cars were flooded. So the car I was driving yesterday, I was able to fill up. The key is really getting out there as early as possible. I filled up at around 4 o'clock in the morning yesterday, and that was helpful, but I know a lot of people don't want to get up that early. It does seem that the gas situation is easing up a bit as more gas stations open. All right, time right now is 11:11. We're going to be right back with so much more coverage in the recovery after Hurricane Ian when we come back from this break.
Good morning, everybody. 11:15 is the time. You are watching special coverage of Southwest Florida recovering from Hurricane Ian here on Fox 4. I'm Chris Shaw. This is Lisa Greenberg. We are here. It's a little unusual where we are right now. We are live in Iona doing the news for you today because we wanted to get on the ground. We wanted to get into the communities, go door to door, talk to people, hear their stories, tell their stories, and see what they need and what we can do to help out. And many of you are catching on. I just got an email from a woman who says her mother lives real close to where we are right now in Shell Point, and she wants to know how difficult it is, or is there a good way to get here from Cape Coral? And when I just emailed her back, I said the roads are pretty much okay. I don't think we had a hard time getting here today. The biggest thing is they're clear. So you're not going to run into any water or trees, I don't think, but you may run into an issue with stoplights being out, so it might take a little longer to get where you need to go, but from Cape Coral here to the Iona area should be okay.
Traffic, a big situation in Southwest Florida right now because all of the intersections, traffic lights, they're missing some of their lights and that power. I know when I was out and about driving yesterday, a trip that typically takes about 20 minutes took an hour. So it's just something you need to keep in mind if you're trying to get to anywhere. You need to leave a little early and really be patient. A lot of the roadways that you usually can pass right through, they're requiring you to turn and make a U-turn and things like that. So it is a bit confusing. And we do want to remind you, Chris, because that viewer did just send you a message, any questions you might have that we can help you out with, please feel free to message either of us on Facebook, on email. We are here for you. We are going to be following all of the steps to recover from Hurricane Ian, so we're here to help you every step of the way.
We're about 90 minutes away from President Joe Biden and the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, making a stop here in Southwest Florida. They will land at RSW. They will take a tour of the area, and then they will speak at Punta Gorda a little later this afternoon. Fox 4's Colton Chavez is live at RSW right now, waiting for the president's arrival. But Colton, this is also the first day that the airport has been back open, and I know you have been speaking with people who are coming home for the first time since the hurricane.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. This is the first day for many families that are flying into RSW that may have evacuated due to Hurricane Ian to actually be able to check on not only their home, but their loved ones and their neighbors that they left behind as they evacuated Southwest Florida. And you can see it right here behind me, people starting to come into the airport, whether flying out or greeting loved ones as they come in. This has been a very busy airport for the first day of RSW re-welcoming flights. It has been a busy one here as the morning has progressed. Now, it's interesting to see this many people because RSW has told us they're only offering a limited amount of flights at this time. So it's great to see how many people are still coming in. And this right here, this is Concourse D. This is basically the gateway for not only welcoming people back in, but also welcoming loved ones or even just coming back to your home here in Southwest Florida. And the first flight that landed here at RSW came out of Detroit. And I was able to speak with the family and I asked them, why are you coming back so soon? Why are you already coming back to your home? And they told me they watched everything from Detroit, their community, their neighbors, going through everything that we've been detailing for you all week. And they said they wouldn't miss the opportunity to get boots on the ground to help out their neighbors. Take a listen.
We thought we could get to the airport and it could be canceled, and we just kept checking and checking. I mean, 2 o'clock in the morning, we got up to get to the airport on time because we wanted to be on this flight.
You can hear it in their voice. That's Debbie and Dave. And they just tell me they were watching from Detroit and there was no way they couldn't come down here and start helping. Dave, I'm told, is a handyman. He's going to actually go to his community right now and start helping out any way that he can. And there's been a lot of love, Lisa, Chris, shared right here. Family members, people waiting to greet loved ones that they maybe haven't seen for over a week and that possibly were stuck here during some very uncertain times. So every time we detail the airport, we do see loved ones greeting each other here at the concourses, but this feels a little bit different because for a lot of families, it's turning the chapter. It's being able to re-welcome somebody that maybe you didn't know what their foreseeable future was going to be when Hurricane Ian made landfall here in Southwest Florida. Now, piggybacking back to President Biden, we're expected to see him in the next hour or so. And of course, we're going to have live team coverage giving you the latest updates on the president. And I'm going to continue to show you right here at Southwest Florida International Airport and how these families are making their way home. But for now, live at RSW, Colton Chavez, Fox 4.
And Colton, that story that you just shared about people who are eager to return home just to help their communities is something I'm hearing a lot. I have friends and family who left the area or had coincidentally tripped plans during the time of the storm who don't have power still in their homes, but are planning to come back over the next few days now that RSW is taking limited flights because they're just so eager to help out the community. They feel almost like it would be a betrayal to stay where they are in the comfort of the homes of others that have power, that aren't destroyed, and to ignore their communities. So they're saying, we want to get back here. We want to get on boots on the ground, as Colton said, and help our neighbors clean up Southwest Florida.
Yeah, so those folks evacuated the area when the hurricane came. So many people stayed. In fact, they stayed in these neighborhoods where we are in Iona right now. Lisa spoke to a man who was here when the water started coming into his house. After we spoke with him, we drove about 1.5 miles down the road, down Davis Road this way, and I met a woman who decided to stay out the storm with her family in her mobile home community. She was sitting on her porch when the weather started to turn and was watching it, and she planned to just stay in the house for the whole storm. But then something changed when she saw that storm surge coming and the water rushing down her street. She didn't have much time to do anything, but she did do this.
Grabbed both of the dogs and my son and my husband, and we got in the truck and we tried to get out, on John Morris, but the water was just rushing in, and so then we backed up all the way to Iona and went over here on Candle Drive and found a driveway, and we parked there for a little while, but the water just kept coming up and up and up and up, and I said, oh my God, the water's going to get in the truck. And so then we backed out again on Iona, and we found the highest driveway on Iona that we could find. And we pulled in there. No one was at home. So we pulled in there, and we just had to sit there because we couldn't get out.
You rode out the storm in the truck?
Yes, that truck right there. 3 adults and 2 dogs. I mean, we just sit there all night long.
What was that like?
Oh my God. There was nothing else we could do. We couldn't move. I mean, I just thought, I thought maybe we were gonna get washed away. But we didn't, thank God.
That hours like that, right?
Hours. And then we had to wait till the water, went out till we could come home and see what we were gonna deal with.
Do you mind walking just a little bit down the street with me? You came home, and what does your neighborhood look like right now?
Looks like a bomb went off. Looks like hell. Yeah, it was so scary. I was like, there's so many people that lost. I mean, more than I lost, but I keep going back, Thank God we're alive. There's so many people, that lost their life. And then we just assessed, what we were going to deal with. My son, he's lost everything. I lost the roof, but I mean, we still have a place to sleep, and I'm running water from my house to the neighbors, and she's washing people's clothes, and
Everybody's helping everybody out.
everybody's helping everybody. I mean, this neighbor's got a car that's working, so he's making sure that we get to the store to get the food and water, necessities to live on right now. I mean, everybody's just pitching in. That's the way this area is. I mean, it's like a lot of people think, oh, it's a mobile home park, But everyone's pitching in and helping each other.
What gives you hope right now?
The fact that we are helping each other. So many people don't have that. Think about the people that are by themselves. I don't have anybody.
I think it's remarkable that after everything that you went through and what you lost, you can look at other people and feel their pain.
You have to help. I mean, my God. If you don't, where you at? And it's like, yeah, we got to replace everything. We'll get it done eventually.
We first talked to Sandra about an hour ago. We first showed you her story, and immediately I started getting Facebook messages and emails, people asking her to help. Because that truck that she and her family rode the storm out in is how they make their business. That's what they need to make an income. But it's not running right now because it took on so much water. So before I left, I asked her, is there anything that we can do? What do you need? And she said, well, if there's anybody out there who can fix a truck or who can loan us a truck, we would appreciate it. That's how we're going to get back on our feet and make some money, and not just for her family, but as you saw, they're supporting the entire community there. So she needs a truck or someone to come fix her truck, and immediately I had a number of messages from people who are wanting to help. So we're going to try to hook those people up with Sandra and her family, and we'll let you know how that goes. But if you're out there and there's something that you can do to help Sandra or her entire community, it's not just one family. There are so many families out here in Iona who need help right now. Go ahead and go to my Facebook page, leave me a message, send me a message. It's Chris Shaw, Fox 4. You can also email me, as some of you have also done. It's chris.shaw@fox4now.com.
Just amazing to see the community come together in this way, and all of these people that are so willing to help each other out. Even as you mentioned, they're dealing with their own heartbreak and still able to see others' heartbreak and want to help. All right, we want to let people know in the Cape Coral area that maybe are still without station that's set up. The Cape Coral Fire Department set this up in the Cape. It's going to be open until 7 o'clock tonight. If you are interested in going somewhere just to take a shower, that's something that a lot of people who've lost everything are telling me. I just wish I could get a shower. I just wish that I could feel clean after all of this. So this is in Jim Jeffers Park. It's going to include showers, bathrooms, a cooling area, which is so desperately needed right now. I know, at least for the most part, the weather's been pretty nice over the last few days, but it is still hot. They also have charging stations for any of your devices. They have laundry services as well. They do say that the shower supplies, the laundry supplies, are not going to be provided. So make sure if you're heading into this area that you bring those items with you. Bring the shampoo, the body wash if you're able to while you're using that shower. They will not have those supplies for you. But again, that's open tonight until 7 p.m. at Jim Jeffers Park.
We know people in this area who lost everything out of their homes need so much, and it starts with clothing, I guess. So we want you to know that the Lee County Legal Aid Society will have a clothing and diaper drive. It is going on right now. It started at 10. It goes until 3 this afternoon in downtown Fort Myers on 1st Street. The organization says people can take what they need. People can come in and donate as well. They will take that and give it to others, and it will be open until supplies last.
We also want to let you know about food options here in Southwest Florida. So many people lost all of their food, had to throw away their perishable items. So right now we know that people in need of food in Fort Myers can go to multiple different distribution points in the city. There's churches that you can go to, like McGregor Baptist, New Hope Baptist, Riverside Baptist, and Crossroad Baptist churches. They are all serving food and water today until 5 p.m. or until supplies run out. Billy Bowlegs Park is also serving lunch tomorrow. That's from 11:30 to 1 p.m. tomorrow. Keep that in mind. So if maybe you have enough food for today, but you're looking for somewhere for tomorrow, Billy Bowlegs Park. Clemente Park is serving dinner tomorrow from 4:30 to 6 p.m. If you can't make it to these locations, though, the city may be able to bring those resources to you.
Our fire departments are actually riding around the city, providing food and water to neighborhoods that, maybe are not able to, get out there.
And there are certain parts of Southwest Florida, you drive down the road and you'll see furniture and a lot of mattresses on the side of the road. That's the case where we are right now. So we want you to know that the Furniture Warehouse of Port Charlotte is giving away free mattresses tomorrow at 10 in the morning. Take a look at your screen. The address is right there. You can get a mattress, but you do have to prove where you live. So bring a license or some other paperwork that shows where you live.
Want to let you know about other places that are giving out food. We just got more information into the newsroom, so you can go to these 8 different locations. We're going to pop them up here on your screen. The National Guard is giving out food at these different spots: the Old Bonita Springs Library, Kelly Road Soccer Complex, Cape Coral Sports Complex, Cape Coral Leonard Street, Estero High School's ball field, North Fort Myers Rec Center, Flea Masters Flea Market, and Veterans Park Rec Center. These locations are giving out food every day from 8 to 6, and the National Guard is giving out that food.
Yeah, and the National Guard is doing the same thing in Charlotte County as well. You can get food, water, supplies at these 3 distribution sites: the Muscle Car City Museum in Punta Gorda, the Charlotte Sports Park, that's where the Tampa Bay Rays do their spring training, and Tringali Park. The National Guard will operate those sites from 8 to 6 every day.
All right, time right now is 11:30. We want to take a quick break here on Fox 4, and we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. 11:33 is the time right now. Welcome back to our special coverage here in the Iona neighborhood of Fort Myers, where we are tracking the recovery efforts after Hurricane Ian. This is a neighborhood that was just seeing a lot of destruction from this storm. A lot of people have left the area now. They're going to places that have power, that aren't so damaged, that didn't deal with all of the flooding. But we did get some time to talk to people who are still here, picking up the pieces of their homes in the Iona area. I know one man I talked to spent the last few days cleaning up his home, throwing out all of his belongings. If you take a look here behind me, you can see some of those items here. There's a refrigerator, there's a stove, there's mattresses. His home, he says, was completely flooded, 5 feet up, and we can see evidence of that on the outside of the home here. It's a situation that a lot of people here in the Iona area are facing right now. So we are here this morning to tell their stories and also talk about what they're doing to work together to recover. Now, Chris, you spoke to a woman who had a very incredible story of survival, honestly, making sure she and her family stayed safe and what their next steps are. And she really said that this neighborhood is coming together.
She did, and that is good to see. She said that's the thing that's giving her hope right now, and so many people around her have lost everything. She's gaining hope in the fact that her community, her neighborhood is working together. So some people may have a little bit of running water that they can wash the clothes with. Somebody else has a car that's actually working, so he's running out and he is running errands for people. Somebody else has a grill, so they are cooking food for people. They're all coming together because in a lot of ways they are cut off from the outside world. I spoke with a woman who lives in Sanibel, and she evacuated here to the Iona section of Fort Myers for the storm. She got caught in it, and she lives a little further down, or she is a little further down the street. She's waiting to hear when she can get back to Sanibel, and when I talked to her this morning, she had not heard of this hurricane pass. And, you know, over the next weeks and months, we're going to start using phrases and words that we had never talked about before, and I guess hurricane pass is going to be one of those things. So that's something that someone who lives on Sanibel can get. They have to prove that they live in Sanibel, but the government will give them what's called a hurricane pass, and that will allow them to get on a boat or a barge, some other form of transportation, to get back onto the island to check out where they live. And that started today, and a lot of people are trying to get back to Sanibel right now. So let's go to the base of the Matanzas Pass Bridge. That's where Fox 4's Elise Chingari is. Elise, what's happening where you are?
Good morning, Lisa and Chris. We're here at the edge of the bridge here. We are seeing just crews from all over the place, different sheriff's departments. We're seeing military members, different police officers from literally all over the place. Now, this bridge right here, it is closed. You do not have access to get over this bridge. That includes residents, business owners, pedestrians. They cannot make their way over to this bridge. This is literally just for first responders right now, as they are still trying to help with those rescue efforts. Today is the first time that I saw these massive trucks heading over for collecting and getting rid of trees and debris. Those trucks were heading in here today. We've of course seen, more military helicopters and things like that. It's just really impressive to see how many boots are on the ground and how many people have been heading over there to try to help with these rescue efforts. Again, we are here where, over at Fort Myers Beach, that's technically what everybody is calling ground zero. Even us as media, we cannot get over onto the other side of that bridge. And now that's a bit of a difference though from what is happening over at Sanibel Island, because we know that residents, well, they have access to get over there today. You do need either one of the hurricane reentry passes, and you know, we talked about that last week, but it's different when we talked about it last week, because they said to get those passes, there would be 2 lanes to get onto the Sanibel Causeway. The other one is almost like a Disney Fast Pass to get you on faster. Since we know that the Sanibel Causeway collapsed in, you know, more than a handful of areas, the only way to get there is by air or by boat. So people who want to get access to Sanibel Island, you need to find somebody with a boat. We head over to the Punta Rasa boat ramp earlier today, and it's closed. You cannot access that ramp. That is still for emergency crews, because they say that they are still, you know, having those rescue efforts over at Sanibel Island. So you'll need somebody to help take you over there by a boat. But the city of Sanibel wants to, you know, warn you of a few things. They say that it looks drastically different. You need to keep that in mind. They say, you know, it can be dangerous. There's going to be very, very little to no cell phone service. So trying to make contact, you know, those emergency crews are still out there. You know, they say it's, you know, obviously dangerous. No power, no electricity, no water. But, you know, residents still want to make their way back there. They want to see, you know, what their homes look like. They want to collect a few items. I did talk to a few boat companies. They say that people are reaching out to them to try to get them over there. They're trying to get that all organized. And, you know, when we say the community is coming together, there are people here where, you know, some of their boats are okay after Hurricane Ian, and they are willing to take people over. I spoke to a gentleman. He said he's helped with rescue efforts, and he says that, you know, he wants to help, you know, take people over to Sanibel. So he's been trying to organize that today. If you'd like to get one of those re-entry passes, you can go over to the Crown Plaza Hotel at Bell Tower. That's in Fort Myers. That's until 5 o'clock today, 8 to 5 tomorrow. For the rest of the week, what you need to do is you need to bring your ID so that you can show that your residence is over on Sanibel Island. They're not allowing contractors at this time. So if you're wondering, what do you do if you know, were renting over there? Well, they say that you can bring a bill, you know, an electricity bill to prove that you live over there to get one of those entry passes as well. But again, the city of Sanibel just warning you on what it looks like. Now, if you're more curious on what possibly your property looks like, you can go to the city of Sanibel, their Facebook or their website, and they made a map, and they were kind of showing which areas where they say you should not go there, or some areas that maybe have a little bit less destruction. So you can use that map that they've provided on those sites to get a better idea. But really, I mean, just to see the community coming together. Obviously, we tried to go to Punta Rosa earlier to show you what it looked like, no access. So we came back to this area to just kind of see those rescue efforts. You know, Amy and Chris, it's almost unbelievable to think that, you know, it was just 1 week ago that Hurricane Ian, you know, made such an impact right here in Southwest Florida. I know my photographer Kevin and I were right there in the Sanibel area. We saw, you know, the heavy winds, we saw that rain and the water, you know, that storm surge that seemed like it would honestly never end. The Weather Channel was there. They said we experienced more than 18 feet of surge. You know, it was scary, and, you know, it's scary for a lot of the residents here. And obviously they want to get here and, you know, see what things look like. But you have to listen. As the mayor here, Mayor Murphy, has said, you need to be patient. This could take days or weeks. And I'm telling you, you know, I'm invested in this. We want to see what's happening. We're here on the ground. We're watching. And, you know, you just can't get over here. I mean, if we show you these cars, they're lining up. So there's checkpoints. And, you know, you can't delay the process of, you know, look at these power trucks. They're going in and out. And they're really trying to, you know, help here over on Fort Myers Beach. You know, they're still trying to do those rescues. You know, just the other day, the mayor said they are still finding people alive underneath that rubble. So you have to take that in mind. I know some people are getting anxious. They want to be here, but you need to be patient, because we are seeing just trucks and, you know, people, ATVs, and they're just bringing things back and forth, you know, really trying to help over here at Fort Myers Beach. And we can tell you firsthand that they are working really hard. We've seen trucks from Texas, you know, Georgia, Ohio, making their way over here. And there's just big trucks. There's a lot going on over here. So that's why they're trying to keep, you know, limited access. Of course, these homes over on Main Street on. They are allowing some people to come back and reassess some of their damage, but if you're trying to make it over to the bridge, they're just not allowing that to happen because you can see it's just a really busy area. But just be rest assured that they are working the best that they can over there on Fort Myers Beach. Again, if you're trying to make it over to Sanibel Island, you are going to need to find a boat to enter that area. Live here in Fort Myers, Elise Chigari, Fox 4.
All right, Elise, thank you very much, and thanks for showing us all the activity on Fort Myers Beach. There is so much work to do there, so much cleanup to take place.
It is just a story that we're hearing so much of on Fort Myers Beach, and we want to send it on over to reporter Michael Schwartz. He is on Fort Myers Beach, where people are doing their best to really recover from this storm.
Watch nails and stuff, you guys.
I met Kelvin and Kimberly Clayton in Fort Myers Beach. They allowed me to follow them as they searched for their pickup truck among the destruction left by Hurricane Ian. To their surprise, it was right where they left it, outside Calvin's welding shop.
There's our truck. Our truck's there. How did it not float away?
Huge boats were just tossed hundreds of feet, but their Chevy was spared.
I'm sure it's no good. It probably filled with water, but...
Clayton gets in and turns the key for another surprise. It runs. As for his welding shop, it reeks of spilled gasoline inside. Electrical equipment is damaged from flooding.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
But the business across the street, a marina, is a different story.
It's devastation. It's devastation.
And you go inside the marina, it is a disaster.
Never seen any hurricane come through here and do anything like this.
Nearby, a rush for the Redenius brothers loading their dehydrated tortoises and turtles into trucks. With little water left in their bins, I helped get the reptiles loaded up. How many turtles have you been saving right now?
We've saved at least 50 turtles. I've already lost 4 turtles since I've saved them.
And you guys lived on Fort Myers Beach?
Fort Myers Beach, down by Publix.
What is it like over there?
Beach is gone.
Something Anthony Giordano saw firsthand.
It's terrible. It's bad. There's no water. There's no power. There's people's, everything is gone. Everything's washed away.
Like so many others, Giordano and his wife had no choice but to walk 7 miles from their home in Fort Myers Beach just to get to the mainland.
Tough navigation. A lot of people are elderly and handicapped. They can't get out.
Literally trapped.
Trapped, yeah. Yeah. If we didn't hike out, we're trapped. They have no water, no nothing, and it just, they're doing the best they can to get people out, but it's a disaster.
Giordano pulling a cart with his 14-year-old dog on top. This was literally take whatever's important to you and leave.
That's it. That's all that's left. There's nothing else left.
Residents walking out of the destruction, passing ambulances racing nonstop toward the coast, trying to save as many people as possible.
We're lucky. We're alive and nothing got damaged, that can't be replaced, and we're okay. My daughter's right there, so we're in good shape.
Well, go enjoy that reunion.
Thank you
good
so
seeing
much.
you.
Thank
All the best,
you.
okay?
Yes, thank you.
Michael Schwartz, Fox 4, Fort Myers.
And how a lot of these people on Fort Myers Beach and all across Southwest Florida are getting information, of course, outside of Fox 4 and news sources like us, is the updates that the governor is giving multiple times a day. We know that Governor Ron DeSantis will be on Matlacha at noon, providing another one of those updates. We are going to carry it live here on Fox 4 as well, and pay attention closely to what he says, especially about water and power here in Southwest Florida.
Yep, those are the two big things, especially in places like Cape Coral, where they need it so badly right now. After the governor speaks, in about an hour from now, we expect President Joe Biden and the First Lady to arrive here in Southwest Florida, where they will take a tour of some of the damage here. We expect them to get to RSW at about 12:45 this afternoon. They then will take a helicopter tour of some of the damage. They will go to Fisherman's Wharf in Punta Gorda to meet with people and business owners there. We will, of course, have live coverage of the president's visit throughout the morning and afternoon right here on Fox 4, which is the video you see here is him touring other storm damage, but we expect him to be here in just about an hour.
All right, so we also know that the Department of Health in different parts of Southwest Florida, they are providing free medical services for people who need them right now. We know people are dealing with different various injuries related to this storm, or even if it's not related, but they do need medical care. So the Department of Health in Collier County is providing services to people in Lee County now. So things like WIC, vital statistics, any kind of testing you might need. pediatric appointments. If you want to make an appointment, we're going to show you that number here on your screen. We also know the National Disaster Medical System opened a temporary medical site in Charlotte County to treat people who are affected by Hurricane Ian. This site will have doctors, physician's assistants, nurses, paramedics, pharmacists even. It's going to be outside what used to be the cultural center of Charlotte County. It's on Aaron Street in Port Charlotte. This site is open 24/7. It is free for anyone who is in need of these medical services. We want to remind you as well that we have all of this information on our website, fox4now.com. A good resource if you do have cell service and internet right now is to download the Fox 4 app, because we're sending really updated push alerts of what you need to know about recovery from this storm. So keep that in mind as well.
All right, we are just minutes away from getting an update from Governor Ron DeSantis on the response to Hurricane Ian. We also have reporters up and down the coast of Southwest Florida. We will go to them live. And Lisa, we're going to hear from you and a man who you talked to here in Iona just a little while ago who had water come into his home during the storm. And his story of survival is pretty remarkable. It is 11:48. We'll be right back.